वासुदेवाय नार ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Okay. So today's our session is based on the eternal science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and we are dedicating our this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who has spread this knowledge with his tireless efforts all over the world. Hare Krishna. So topic is the lost wealth. Few days back, of course, I was going through YouTube and all. So one video came to me, and in that they were talking about Indian culture and Indian value of Indian culture mostly. So one person was arguing, like there's an argument into a TV show debate. You know? So they're thinking Indian mythology is so great, Indian mythology is this and that, vagera, vagera. So question is, what is this Indian mythology is about? You know? Indian mythology. What do you mean when you say the word mythology? The stories, okay. What do you?
Mythology means it's a myth actually.
Myth, yeah. The word starts from the myth, right?
The mythology word, Hindu mythology, I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Normally this has been told by outside people to
Yeah.
us. And that we have
Actually, yeah, correct, Prabhuji. This is based on the myth, actually. They say. And actually, this is, as you said, it is a stories. It's a collection of all the stories. And the stories means may be true, may not be true. So, when we talk about Indian culture based on the mythology, then our authenticity, either reality or maybe the credibility of the culture goes down, or maybe it's lost. And that's how we lost our culture. We talk about it. How we, of course, a few days back, of course, one man came to me and I was asking, Prabhuji, कुछ सिखाइए मेरे बच्चे को, है ना, छोटा सा बच्चा था, like not you, like that. Okay, मेरा बच्चा मेरी बात सुनता नहीं, he is not listening to me, है ना. You know, when I was a child, I used to listen to everything of my father. मेरे पिताजी जो भी बोलते थे मैं सब कुछ सुनता था, और मेरा बच्चा मेरा कुछ नहीं सुनता. He is not listening at all to me. And I asked, oh good, so your child, you want your child to be like you? Good, so nice. And you want your child to be listening to you? Good. You are listening to your father? Good. So, are you like your father? Again question mark. The father was a great man. Father's father was a great man. He was very strong, strict, and a very cultured person. But are we carrying the same culture now? We are expecting same respect that we used to give to our fathers. We are expecting same respect from the others. Are we the same person that our ancestors are? The values they carried, are we carrying now? Where is this gap? Where is this gap gone? So we are trying to find out with this simple examples from the in this presentation, the glories of Vedic culture and the Vedic scriptures. Now this one, when we talk about Mahabharata war, and in the Mahabharata war, there was Arjun and Krishna, and they were having a discussion, profound discussion, and Krishna is explaining this very important principle here. We'll read this shloka now. You can see this? Okay. Sarvasya chaham rati sanniveshto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedesha sarvairahameva vedyo Vedanta krid veda videva chaham. Okay, please raise your hand. Somebody can read a translation. Yes, Mataji. Survika Mataji.
I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. Shall I repeat?
That's okay.
And I am the knower of the Vedas.
Hare Krishna. So our Vedic literature is a very complex structure. If you have seen the Vedic literature, it is composed of different samhitas, aranyakas, upanishads, and brahmanyas. All these different structure is there, and this Vedic literature is it is so complicatedly combined together. It is difficult. Anybody can not anybody can create such a kind of a structural literature again. And yes, this was created by the one single person, Sri Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva has created this whole encyclopedia of Vedic culture. And this Vedic culture has everything. It consists of everything. That's why Vedic literature, Vedas are called as a Kalpa Taru. Kalpa Taru means that one which gives anything and everything that you can think of. So whatever you think of, whatever branch of knowledge you think of, it is already there in Vedas. It is said that Vyasochistam Jagat Sarvam. Understood? So it is everything in the world which is touched by Vyasadeva. He has touched everything in Vedas. Whatever you think of theistic science. That's why he said that Vedesha Sarver Ahameva Vedyo. Vedas are made to inquire about Krishna. This is what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. So Vedesha Sarver Ahameva Vedyo. Purpose of Vedas is to know about me. Me means Krishna. And he is there. He is the one who is creator of Veda. He is the one who is behind all these Vedas. And that's why whatever theistic science is there in the Vedas, and what do you talk about atheistic science? There's something called as atheistic, right? Atheism means that they don't believe in the God. That is also part of Vedas. That's why people read Vedas and they confuse, अरे वेदों को बोलना क्या है ना? But yes, Vedas are made such a way that it includes everything. And if we have a proper guidance, we can sail through these Vedas and understand what is the purpose behind it. So Vedas have everything. Vedas have mathematics, Vedas have medicine, Vedas have astrology, Vedas have astronomy, Vedas have everything, philosophy. So we are seeing some of it in this. Vedas, we have heard about Ayurveda, surgery science. Heard about it? So it is mentioned in the Vedas. So there is a Rig Veda where there is a particular section called Sushruta Samhita. This Muni Sushruta, he was the first one who has done some kind of surgery, not some kind of surgery, very, very scientific surgery, successful surgery on the soldiers. And he written down all his theses and all his observations and all these procedures and in his Samhitas. All many of his descriptions about surgical knives and instruments which are exact similar to our modern surgical knives and instruments. There's nothing different than. And he was not doing any normal surgery. He was doing a plastic surgery. You heard of it? It's the most complicated surgery you can say. And just cheer फाड़ के नहीं. Plastic surgery is so complicated and it has to be looked like exactly, na. लोग कराते हैं. Plastic surgery. He was the part. He was this, and he was almost 800 years before Christ. Before Christ. That's not so far. And people think that yes, we were the primitive people that time. And of course, whole world was primitive that time. But Vedic culture was at its peak 800 years before Christ. There's a particular section in the Vedas called Atharva Ayurveda. It's a part of Atharva Veda, is Upaveda kind of thing, and there it gives all description about the medicines. You know, there are so many now. Of course, today in these days Ayurveda is becoming more stronger and prominent and authentic in the whole world. People are understanding the importance of it. The whole world was struggling with the corona, and yes, Indians were kadha pilo bas. They were surviving whole corona, and whole world was pandemic time. They were having difficulties to survive. You know, so Ayurveda is not simply a medicine science; it's a science of how to live the life in a regulated ways, proper ways, and how to live a healthy life. Without having much dependence on artificial medicines. And today, even modern scientists and modern medicine experts, they are also accepting, yes, we should turn towards Ayurvedas. One of our congregation devotee who is a medicine, is a doctor. He is, he's an allopathic doctor, but when you go to his consultancy to him, and he gives different medicines, and say, Prabhuji, it's so difficult to accept those medicines. Then go to Ayurveda. He always suggests, okay, better to go. Personally, he follows Ayurveda. So not just really Ayurveda, there's mathematics coming from Vedas. So there is, in Atharvaveda again, there is an appendix to Atharvaveda, which talks about these mathematics. In the Vedas, in a Vedic, in a culture, there's a high importance to do yajnas. In the yajnas, they will be doing so many different kinds of yajnas. Yajna kundas, you heard about? This is exactly rectangle. It should be not always rectangle. There will be different sizes of yajna kundas. And today, have you done yajna in homes, right? Previously, these yajna kundas, yajnas used to happen in a big stadium kind of places. One yajna, to make one yajna, there will be expenses like kind of making a full World Cup. Football World Cup, not Cricket World Cup. Football World Cup is a big organization. Much money goes into that. That kind of endeavor and money goes into making one yajnas. That kind of big. And to see this yajna, people used to come from different places. And big management. And yajna kundas will be huge. And it has to be an exact rectangle or particular shapes. And for that purpose, these munis, they devise the trigonometry. Trigonometry, the Pythagoras law, it is devised by Pythagoras? No. It was devised long back by a Rishi called Bodhayan. It is almost 800 BC before Christ, at least whatever they say. In Pythagoras theorem, of course, Bodhayana has given this, and Pythagoras was almost 570 BC. Who is older? Bodhayan. 800s before Christ. So this person, of course, that time people used to come to India, do the trade and go back. And that's how this Indian scriptures, they went to Western European countries. And they just copied it and just gave the name, okay, this is Pythagoras theorem. And Bodhayan Muni, he didn't took a patent and all these things. Okay, give it for the public. And that's how this name came as a Pythagoras. You would have heard about Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci theorem or Fibonacci curves. What is that?
Series.
Fibonacci series. You know? So this Fibonacci series was he devised it in 12,002, but it was already mentioned in the Vedas almost 11,000 during 11,000. Yeah, sorry, not 11,000, 1100. Fibonacci, the person Fibonacci gave this it at 1200, and Hemachandra, the Muni Hemachandra gave it in 1100, and just around same time it was written. So in this is not just simply thing we're talking about Pascal Stanger, which was given by Varahamihir. We talk about Pascal, but it was given by Varahamihir in 6th century. You know? And we talk about the algebra and all these things, which makes us our mathematics so scary, right? We are so happy adding and subtracting and devising, but suddenly algebra comes. And in combination with the numbers, the words also came. The alphabets also came and started adding and subtracting. Who gave this all? And these all were into Vedic culture, Vedic mathematics. It was given. Value of 0, value of pi. Aryabhatta has given in almost 6th century these things. So these all are mentioned. They have their roots into Vedas, the idea of square root and everything. You know about this person, Srinivas Ramanujan? This is a great personality, and he is expert in the mathematics. His mathematics was kind of his own mind is going through, and he was thinking in mathematics only. Everything he used to see, he used to be like, it is an equation, and he says equation for me has no meaning unless it expresses a thought of God. So Srinivas Ramanujan was a great mathematician, and of course, there's a idea of physics. Of course, there are so many physical laws. You know, the law of atomic theory. Atomic theory was not given by the Dalton. Of course, he presented, Dalton has presented, but long before the Dalton presented his atomic theory, it was presented by Rishi Kanad. His mention is there in already in Vedas. Rishi Kanad has given his atomic theory in 2nd century long back. Dalton is a very recent person. You know? And he's given this theory into the book called Darshan. Is a Grantha, or in the Darshan Shastra, he has mentioned this. So the whole world is made of small atoms. The quantum physics is given by the Satyendranath Bose. You know, it's very recent theory. And the gravitational theory, we thought, if this apple fall into Newton's head, and gravitation theory came up. It is given already by Brahmagupta. People knew this. This Earth is rotating behind around the sun, and this Earth is spherical. This Europeans, they were thinking Earth is a flat. That time, Indians, they were able to calculate the speed of the sun, moon, and different celestial spheres, and their orbits, everything they used to calculate, and their calculation was so perfect. Even they used to come to India to find the calculation, the times of Surya Grahanas and all these things. So in this way, the physics, the astronomical physics, everything was given. Brahmagupta was the one who has given this gravitational theory, and of course there was a mention of Earth as a goal, as a sphere, that we call it as a bhugol, right? Bhugol was the word was mentioned into scriptures already. They knew that Earth is a sphere. This, eclipse and all these things, of course, they were talking about. And this is, what is this? Diagrams of the Vimanas. It's called a Vimana Shastra. Vimana Shastra, this is the instruments through which people used to travel from planets to planets. Flying, sorry, I went back. So Vimana Shastra is, they have all revolutionary structures there, of course, which fly without aerodynamic ships. They are flying, and of course they were running, and as all explanations are there into Vedas. So these are the machines which will run on the fuel of mercury, and they will run with the control of mind. They will not have knobs and all these things. Just you think, you should fly. You know? Now we think about it. You know, we are devising all those kinds of structures now, with the wearable helmets and all these things. I was in the aerospace, that's why I remember something. The wearable helmets and all this, and just you have to think, and the machines will work. So these are all the machines with this. You heard about the Pushpak Vimana? है ना? It is mentioned that Pushpak Vimana was running on the fuel of mercury, and it will run with the direction of mind. And it, of course, it will have a much space that anybody can think of. How much ever people you fit into that, there will be always space for more people. And a whole Vanar Sena got accommodated into this Pushpak Vimana, and they traveled, and they saw, oh, our wives are there, let us take our wives also from Kishkinda. And Lord Ram said, okay, let them take out. And all these Vanar Sena, along with their wives and children, they came, they sat and went to Ayodhya. So that's the descriptions of Vimanas. And of course, they are all still researching, finding out the uses of these structures. And of course, who doesn't know about yogas? And the whole world understands the importance of yoga. They have a World Yoga Day. So the best way to keep ourselves fit, yogic lifestyle. And of course, we have astrology. Astrology and Vastu Shastra. See, these Vastu Shastras, they have much subtler impact on our consciousness. Heard about Vastu predicts the consciousness of the people who are staying in this Vastu. It is mentioned, Vastu Shastra talks about many times, the head person of the house should stay into this place, and that's how his consciousness will be spread across the whole world, whole home. And something which is wrong, suddenly it becomes, everything goes into a topsy-turvy in the life. So yes, Vastu Shastra has a subtler impact on this. Indian architecture has these things. Indian architecture, which talks about the different structures of temples and all. Temples are called as what in Hindi? Mandir bolte hain na usko, mandir. Mandir means man. It deals with the mind, man. It's just not just a simple temple. It deals with the mind. As soon as you go to temple, you feel some kind of relief and peace and positive energy, right? So this energy which is constructed through these temples, and this is trapped with these temples, it heals the mind. It repairs all wear and tear of the mind. We are so much troubled, but as soon as we go to temple, we immediately feel that relief. So there are so many temples in the world also. We have seen, temples of Srirangam, temples of South Indian temples specifically. You talk about, they are very scientifically made, and how the way they made, and of course they are long lasting. Even thousands of years they are not destroyed. They are standing still. Earthquake came, tornadoes, and so many calamities came, and everything got destroyed, but temples are standing erect. My father is a civil engineer, and he used to tell, whatever concrete you make in the world and how much ever strong you make it, the life is 100 years. That's all. These many small, big bridges we have seen, they're collapsing like, house of cards, right? So why is this happening? Of course, this technology is not so durable, concrete technology. But the structures of the stones, they are long lasting. And to make them erect in the proper place is a big job. You have seen, have you gone to the Lipakshi sometimes? In Lipakshi, you can see the ancient structure. Sometimes we'll go there. And a whole stone temple. And there are different beautifully carved pillars. And the carvings are so intricate, and you can see on the roof there are the lotuses which are curved upside down. And then you will see one pillar there which is hanging. And there in many places you can see in the temples there are some pillars which can be rotated also. To rotate such a kind of a giant pillar, heavy thing, you need a lots of machineries like ball bearing and all these things. They would have devised all these things just through stones. Just with the stones they have devised those things to that they can rotate the pillars and pillars which is hanging. So this is the the Indian architecture, and we go to learn architecture to USA. So we go and learn there. We forget what is there under. This is the temple in Melkote. You would have seen Melkote. Anybody has gone? Melkote is the place. Of course, we had gone to trip. Huh? So in the Melkote, we have seen these different intricate structures there.
High standard developed in almost all regions during the ancient India. The distinct architectural style of the temple construction in different parts was a result of geographical, climate, ethnic, racial, historical, and linguistic diversities. Ancient Indian temples are classified into three broad categories. This classification is based on the different architectural styles employed in the construction of the temple. Three major techniques of the temple architecture are the Nagara style or the northern style, the Dravida or the southern style, and the Varsaras or the mixed style. But there are also some regional styles such as Badami Chalukya architecture and Gadgad architecture in Karnataka, Kalinga architecture in the Odisha, Maru Gujarat temple architecture in Rajasthan. In the initial stages of its evolution, the temples of the North and South India were distinguished on the basis of some specific features like the Shikara and the Gopurams, which are the gateway. In the North Indian temples, the Shikara remained the most prominent component, while the gateway was generally unassuming. The most prominent feature of the South Indian temples were the enclosures around the temples and the Gopurams. Design of the temple. The very essence of a Hindu temple is believed to have been developed from the ideology that all things are one and everything is associated. The four essential and significant principles, which are also the aim of the human life according to the Indian philosophy, are the quest for the artha, wealth and prosperity, kama for pleasure, dharma for moral life and virtues, and moksha for self-knowledge and realization. The mathematically structured spaces, intricate artwork, decorated and carved pillars, and the statues of the Hindu deities illustrate and value such philosophies. A hollow space without any embellishments situated at the center of the temple, usually below the deity, may also be at the side or above the deity, symbolizes the complex concept of the Purusha or Purusa, meaning the universal principle of consciousness. The cosmic man or the self without any form, however, the omnipresent and associated with all the things. The Hindu temples suggest contemplation, encouragement, and further purification of mind. It also prompts the process of self-realization in the devotee. However, the preferred process is left to the convention of the individual devotee. The site of the temple. The Hindu temples are suggested to be near the natural water bodies such as the confluence of the rivers, river banks, seashores and lakes. According to the Puranas and the Bharat Samhita, mandirs can also be constructed inside the world of the natural water bodies. However, such suggestions include the building up of a pond with water garden in front of the mandir or towards the left. In the absence of the both natural and man-made water bodies, the water remains typically present during the consecration of the deity or the mandir. The part 3 of the chapter 93 of the Hindu text Vishnu Dharmottara Purana also recommends building of the temples within caves, chiseled out of stones, atop hills, within hermitages, forest gardens and at the upper end of the street. Layout of the temple. The basic elements that comprise a Hindu temple are as follows. Garbhagriha, which literally means the warm house, is a cave-like sanctum which houses the main icon of the temple. In earlier times, it was a small cubicle with one entrance. In the later periods, it grew into a larger chamber. Mandapa is the entrance to the temple. It could be a portico or a colonnaded hall where the worshippers stand. Shikara or the Vimana. It is from the 5th century CE. It is a mountain-like structure on the top of the temple. In the North Indian Nagara style, it is called as the Shikara and is curved in the shape. Whereas in the South Indian Dravidian style, it is like a pyramidical tower which is called the Vimana. Amalaka. Stone.
Hare Krishna. So this is the full science of building a temple, and it's made such a way that it can trap the energy and it can heal the people who are staying it. And of course, the purpose to go into temple is to look within. And when we go there, we feel a peace of mind, and when we feel a peace of mind, that only we can think that what's there. We can just look within our hearts. Hmm? So this is the purpose where we can do this, the practice for the self-realization, sadhana, that can be happening good. Hmm? And then we are talking about, we had the big universities like Takshashila, Nalanda. And these are the universities which were world famous. People from all over the world used to come there to study the scriptures. They study the sciences. Not just they're staying in India, but all over the world, people used to come. And in these universities, all kinds of sciences were taught. And there was teachers, there were thousands of teachers which was teaching this. And one time they were destroyed, and it is said that some Alauddin Khilji came and he started burning the scriptures which were stored there, and he killed all the acharyas or the teachers there. And he was burning these scriptures and literatures which was burning for almost 6 months. They took 6 months to destroy these universities. They are not temples, but the universities, imagine. The temple, destruction of the temples is again another story, another history. The opulence that what we had. You heard about this? This is the place which is in Hampi. In Hampi, ruins of Hampis, have anybody seen this ruins of Hampis? Hampi, in Karnataka itself. So this was, in the Hampi there are big temples which are destroyed and consecrated, and these monuments. It is a whole city, the whole planned city there. You can see, this structure was there. You can see this one pillars are there and one roof is there. What do you think it should be? The shelter place when it is raining? No, it is not. It is a place where they used to be a market. Market, we have seen the Sunday market or something where we sell vegetables and the fruits and all these things. What used to be sold there? Vegetables and fruits? No. They used to sell diamonds and jewels, rubies. They used to sell that. That is the market for that. And they will not be selling into few grams, kgs, kilos. They will be making heaps of diamonds and rubies and pearls, and they'll be selling those. And people from different countries used to come and purchase this. There's a temple there around there, which is Vithala temple in Hampi. There's, of course, Vithala deity is not there, but the sthana there, below that there's a carving. In the carving, there's a description of the market, how the market is and how people were selling. Then merchants are there sitting, and they're having heaps of jewels in front of them. And the people who are purchasing this, they were wearing the robes like Arabians. And then this shows that in those times, Arabians used to come and purchase these jewels from here. And this is the biggest market in the world, you can say, where the jewels were sold in the kgs. Not just simply. And it was the place where India, this shows that India was not a developing country, not a developed country. It is a super developed country that time. The naval relationship, the armies and everything was top class that time. And GDP, they say it was GDP of 32.9 billion. And this is, we can say that okay, people are talking about so much wealth and so much knowledge. Where this is gone? Where this is gone? So we'll talk about the reasons for us to for why this whole wealth, whole culture is lost to us now. First thing is, we're talking about the spiritual education-wise, spiritual lifestyle, relations, everything. But the first reason that we go through is the Mughal contribution for this. They contributed a lot. Mughals. Their contribution, of course, when we hear these Bhagavad Gita sections and all these things, we understand what these people have contributed to our culture. The maximum contribution of them was destruction of our temples, destruction of our society, our morals and values. Hmm? Of course, when Mughals came, Mughals and before that some Khiljis and all these people, they were most dullest invaders. I can say most dullest invaders. Okay, what they did, they came and they saw, okay, people are going and more. What is the richest thing into this India? There was temples. All money was going to temples. People used to be living into small small houses, but temple used to be the strongest and the tallest and the most opulent. And of course, you see in our culture, there were so many different kings. They would have happened, but their palaces you will not find. You will not find palace of Chandragupta Maurya. No, it's a weak king. You didn't find it. You will not find the palace of Samrat Ashoka. Yeah, but you will find the stupas, the temples there, what they contributed. Temples of Srirangam. They were constructed by that all these kings, the Cholas and Pandyas. Their palaces are not there. Hmm? So they understood these temples are the places where all the opulence goes. Let us loot them. Let us destroy them. They can, and then only we can win this country. They came. They looted these temples multiple times, not just simply once. You know, there's a record of these people. You know, Nagarkoti temple was looted by Muhammad Ghazni, and he took 7 lakh golden dinars, a gold which of 7 lakh golden dinars, and 700 months of gold and silver plates. What is how much kg comes in a month? Can somebody Google?
40 kg.
हाँ 40 kg एक मन में होता है ना 40 kg 700 मन and what he took golden plates from the temples and kg में आते थे plates सब सारी चीज़ें we are not talking about in the grams, we are talking about kgs and months 700 months 700 months of pure gold, 2,000 months of silver, 20 months of various jewels. That was his taken. Nagarkoti. He has done this in Nagarkoti, and he used to loot different temples. He used to go here and there and just loot them. He came to Mathura once, and in Mathura there was a temple. The priest, he understood that there is a big temple there, and the priest understood that is Ghazni is coming and looting Mathura temple. He hid these deities. He hid the deities, he hid the jewels and everything. And Ghazni came there in Mathura, it is recorded. And he came, he saw there is nothing there to loot. Everything is vanished. And he became so angry. In the city of Mathura, he beheaded 12,000 pandits. 12,000 pandits in one night were beheaded. The blood was flowing into the streets like river. And this is there. And what to talk about Somnath temple, it was diluted multiple times. Somnath temple got destruction. Every time it used to be destroyed, people used to come together and build it again. Somnath temple was the symbol of Indian pride. And then Mughals, they understood this. The looting was massive. And then Davangir, heard about Davangir? Alauddin Khilji, he took what kind of wealth? You see this, for 24,000 kgs of gold, 4,000 kgs of silver, and all these things. And for that, they used to kill people also. You know? And Srirangam temple, of course, we have seen here. Srirangam temple, they used to come and loot, and they used to hide the deities. The deity of Lakshmi ji was hidden for so many years, and they came out. The deity of Rangnath ji was hidden. So, in the Srirangam temple, Tughlaq Ulugh Khan also he has killed so many Brahmanas in Srirangam. And again came the smartest people, the Britishers. Britishers, they understood these Mughals are coming to India, they are looting again and again and going back. India's wealth is not that much simple to loot. If you have to rule India, we have to use a different strategies. Mughals came, they looted the money, but Indian culture stayed intact. But the Britishers wanted to rule India to their hearts. So what they did it, they employed Indologists. Indologists are people who are expert into the different languages. So they used to come, they used to learn Sanskrit, they used to learn different languages in India. They used to translate our literatures. And it's like Alexander Tuff, these scholars into Kolkata, headquarters of. They used to write this literature in such a way that they used to demean the actual meaning of it. Hmm? So whoever is reading this literature, you understand. Okay, this is so mean. When we talk about the Vigraha worship, worshipping of Vigraha, deity worship, and all these things, this is adultery. है ना, ये किसी की मूर्ति की पूजा करते हैं. Worship of Vigrahas is not simply adultery. It has so much deep meaning into our culture. Adultery has a different meaning. Adultery means make a statue of Amit and उसको बोले कि ये अमित का स्टैचू है, हम लोग करेंगे. We have so many statues of our politicians, right, on the streets. Crows come and shit on that. So all these things is happening. This is you can say adultery, but our adultery when we do worship in the temple, this is not adultery. This is a deity worship, or we call it a Vigraha Seva. And when they translated this Vigraha Seva into English, they made it into adultery. And we understand, oh, such a kind of thing. And our whole culture and our traditions, they translated and presented in such a way that we started feeling, oh, this is such a ghastly thing that we are following. And they started demeaning and putting our culture into a lower perspective to us. They started the schools, and first of all, they looted our culture, our country. They made us starve. And you want to have a food, okay, become babus like us. And how do we become a babus like this? And then they taught their own culture and our own culture into a lower meaning. So William Jones and Williamsons, these are all the names of these people. And the highest is Max Muller. About this person is an expert of the different languages, and they started writing Vedic literatures into wrong things, and whole world started understanding it. That yes, Indian culture is wrong, and we have started listening the same. We have started understanding our own culture through eyes of these people. Instead of going through understanding, of course, when we have to understand about our Sanskrit text and all these things, where we'll go? We go to Max Muller and these people's literatures, or we should go to our own pandits and our own gurus and acharyas. When we go to these people, we understand the lesser, we understand the bad side of, bad meaning of our culture. So this is called a British influence on our culture. Okay. This is a small video about it.
Broadly memory power of the Sanskrit scholars. How can they memorize vast texts, Vedas and Upanishads as they are and pass it on to the next generation? Now, latest researchers have unraveled this mystery and named the phenomenon as Sanskrit effect. There is a Doordarshan News exclusive report on Sanskrit effect.
Sanskrit, which literally means perfected or refined, is one of the oldest human languages. Sanskrit is also regarded the world over for its unique way of learning, in which large texts are memorized verbatim. The four Vedas, the Upanishads, all have been preserved through this technique. While world over civilizations built large libraries to store knowledge, in India, through the tradition of Sanskrit, all the knowledge was stored in the human brain and passed from one generation to another. Since ages, this has been a mystery to the world. Now, through modern scientific research, this mystery seems to be unraveled at last. A study on Sanskrit effect, which has been reported in the journal Scientific American, has claimed that memorizing Vedic mantras enhances the brain regions associated with cognitive functions such as memory. The term Sanskrit effect was coined by American neuroscientist and Sanskrit scholar James Hartzell. Hartzell studied Sanskrit at Harvard and Columbia Universities and cognitive neuroscience at the University of Toronto. He discovered that memorizing Vedic mantras increases the size of the brain regions associated with cognitive processes. Hartzell's report was tested when he and his colleagues from the University of Toronto in Italy collaborated with Dr. Nandini Chatterjee Singh of the National Brain Research Center at Manesar in Haryana. This extensive research has established that through this unique memorizing technique used in traditional Sanskrit learning, brain's capacity significantly increases.
What we did was we compared professionally trained Vedic pundits and Yajurvedic pundits from the Delhi area with carefully matched controls. And we found really large differences in the gray matter and cortical thickness between the two groups. So this is what's called a cross-sectional study. And cross-sectional studies show you that the phenomenon measures, so in this case, we're looking, is there some relationship of brain plasticity or changes in gray matter that might occur from this practice? Can we see such a difference between, and the way you look for that difference if you compare the two groups?
ब्रेन के कौन से स्ट्रक्चर हैं वो बदले हैं औरों के मुकाबले और यहाँ हम देखते हैं कि जैसे हम लोगों ने सोचा था कि हिपोकैम्पस के मेमोरी का वो हिस्सा जो है वो थोड़ा बड़ा हुआ था
We're highly specialized memorizers and reciters of Vedic sanskrit and associated texts. Is there structural plasticity in their brains that's probably related to that practice? And we showed that for sure. We showed very dramatic differences in brain structure.
Now we have a scientific evidence to prove why Sanskrit is called the perfect or refined language. Sunil Joshi's report, DD News.
So now these people, these children are studying Sanskrit. We used to have so many gurukuls in India, and Sanskrit was a universal language. Today's English is a universal language in India, right? Previously, Sanskrit was a universal language. We have seen now, any pandit, any person goes from the North India to South India, he used to not have any problem in communicating. Because they used to speak in Sanskrit. Tamil person used to speak in Sanskrit. The Pandit of Kashmir used to speak in Sanskrit. Even if you go to the Kandahar, there used to people speak in Sanskrit. It's a universal language. So now we don't understand Sanskrit language at all. There are more Sanskrit scholars than India. They are in Germany. Germans are more expert in Sanskrit than us. They are studying all the scriptures nicely and understanding its essence and values, and they are putting it into their life and in practice. And we are losing, and we are going and learning from them.
Totally memory power of the Sanskrit scholars. How can they memorize?
Okay, this is what Macaulay says. You can see. When Macaulay came to India, and this is a famous letter of his. Macaulay has written this letter in 1835. He has written this letter to his wife that time, and he was mentioning he has traveled all across the length and breadth of India, and I have not seen even one person who is a beggar. That's the culture. Begging was not the culture of India. It is bought and it was forced on us. Who is this? Who is a thief? Okay. Who is a thief of such wealth I have seen in this country? Such a high moral values and people of such caliber that I do not think we could ever conquer the country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. This is what they did. The most important thing, they wanted to have our belief in our own culture to be broken. Then only they can conquer India. When we understand that yes, we are not superior to them, of course, when we are far, far superior to them. Then, of course, the time when India was thriving with the opulences, these people in UK and in Europe, they were roaming in the jungles with their primitive weapons. India was having its most advanced weapons, which used to be controlled by the mantras, and like atomic weapons. And if you see just now recently, I have heard from in the news, like the places of the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they are the cities, and which are ruined now. And they say these are ruined not just because of flood or anything. They are ruined because of some atomic explosions. Because they have seen the bodies, or maybe the bone structures there, like people walking on the streets and they just died there. How this can happen suddenly? And it is the atomic attack kind of thing, and this is a sign of that. Hadappa and Mohenjo-daro, they have seen the atomic radiations. We had these atomic weapons even in these olden ages. And this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam also. Bhagavatam mentions about all these things. Key people used to control atomic weapons. The weapons of Arjun and Ashwatthama they used to use. They use the radiation like atomic bombs. We have seen the Lord Oppenheimer, the person who did first atomic blast. When he saw, he was expert in Sanskrit. He was expert in he studied Bhagavad Gita also. As soon as he saw this atomic explosion, he recited shloka from Bhagavad Gita. You know, this is a Koti Suryasa, the effulgence is like thousands of suns there. This is what he explained. Of course, these people, this Oppenheimer was a German scientist, for your understanding. And then see, these people, they took everything from us and they broke our spiritual culture. Our society was thriving when we had our culture based on the cows and the Gurukul. They first started killing the cows and they destroyed the Gurukul system. And they installed this their British convent systems. How many of you are studied in the convent? Yes, you all are convent. This one products. And the convents, there's a systematic cleansing of our own culture. This is actually real brainwash that we had. The first brainwash, first destruction of our culture by the Mughals, secondly by this education system of Macaulay. Prabhupada used to call this Macaulay's education system is like a slaughterhouse of Indian culture. We send our children there. So, what is the observation of Macaulay? He said Indian language contains neither literary or scientific information. That's what he was promoting. Telling Indian culture, Indian Vedic literature, they don't have even such a kind of value that their kindergarten students have. So he used to say these Indians are poor and rude, they should be enriched by our help. They say like, we come here to help people, we make you civilized. But we are already civilized and thriving. And the works of Sanskrit and Vedas is just a fiction and imagination. Historical values of this put together as less knowledge than the primary school of England. See, even if he's telling all these lies there, the biggest poem, the biggest literary poem in the Sanskrit, they have 2 lakhs of shlokas. And this is not, if you compare the epic literatures of Western culture, it is multiple times bigger than that. And even though the Mahabharata, which has so many cultural values there, I was reading Mahabharata a few days back there. Pitama Bhishma was telling how to become confident and becoming confident, and how to overcome, how to become a confident. We have stage fear and all these things. To become a confident, he gives the 6 formulas, and that's kind of and if you read the Ramayans also, there are so many different cultures there. Pitama Bhishma gives also sometimes in a Shanti Parva or maybe Bhishma Parva at the end. He gives ideal king's principles, how a king should behave, how king should behave with his spies, how king should rule in his country. Everything he gives so nicely. And this Mahabharata is such a kind of a value that a person can implement in his life. Ramayana has so many values they have got into this. So Mahabharata has 2 lakhs lines. In the Odyssey, which they think of the biggest epic, they have only 60,000 lines. Where's the 60,000 and this 22 lakhs? Among these 2 lakhs, there are so many shlokas which are puzzles, and they could not understand. So many puzzles they have, and this literature was so enriching and so nourishing. And in this Mahabharata itself, comes the best of the epic, best of the essence of our culture is Bhagavad Gita, and still we call it mythology. And this is all what we have brought our values down to this level. What Macaulay says here. Somebody will read this.
Educate any so that we create class of people
delegates to the Western outfit.
Mm. So even today, we are seeing the ripple of this strategy that Macaulay implemented. We have the people who are studied in India, who are seeing, who are by our by visually they are Indians, but by heart they are Britishers. They have just only complexion, but their attitude, their behavior, their thinking, their dealings, everything is westernized. And they just speak the words of the westerns. Our culture, there is no trace of it at all. And what we are doing it, what happening with our because of this, what's happening in our life, our family system has gone. We have such a kind of family system in our India. You can see, talk about the Indian family system. People talk about the nuclear family system today's nuclear family systems, and the micro families. Where people used to think only husband, wife, and children are there. Now there's no question of husband, wife is there, children are there, or husband is there, children is there. So the micro families. In this way, people are more helpless. Who are the parents, they can understand raising their children while working outside, and there is no one to help you at home at all. And it's so difficult. But if you have a joint family, imagine. Now, if you have a challenge in your life, there are some people in the home to take care of you. Take care of your, the boy, if he has a problem with his one sibling, and he can go to the another siblings, uncle, aunt. So many people are there to console him, to talk to him, and to have his emotional breakout. In sometimes, in the nuclear families, husband, wife, they fight, and there's nobody to talk. And the negativity in the heart and the life, this keeps on growing and growing and growing. At least in the joint family, there will be somebody senior, somebody friend, somebody there around who will be helping us to break out this air gap. Now it is, because of this, we have lost our own mental and psychological balance in our life, and this effect is coming to our next generation also. Our children, of course, we had a joint family. We used to listen all these stories, all these lessons and morals from our grandparents. How many of you have heard the stories of Mahabharata from your grandparents and this one? And now, because all these values that you have got, you are quietly able to face the problems in the life. All the stories are not simply the stories which just for entertainment. They nurtures, they gives us the weapons to face the problems in the life. How the problems that Lord Rama faced, how he handles this, we understand those. But now the next generation, what stories they are learning? Just open the books of your children. आपके बच्चों के books को खोल के देखिए. What kind of a moral you can take it from those stories there? Once I was reading one story book from our President Prabhu hai. His daughter used to go to the school, and I just saw she was reading something, and there was this moral story in her book. The story was like, there used to be a fat boy staying into the big tree, and another naughty boy used to come and steal his food, and this man used to shout. This is the story goes. And one day he was shouting. This naughty boy came and he cut the tree fell down, and that man died. What moral you will learn from this? This was the story in the first standard boy. What moral? Of course, much the worst stories will be there with read in your children's books. This is just one I read and I understood. This is the value. What value will take it from there? Because I remember reading all these Ramayana stories when I was a small boy, first standard, second standard kind of thing. Used to have nice stories there. But now what culture and what values we are giving to our children? And where we are taking these values mostly from? This social media or the media, Indian medias. They are the killer of our culture. We are seeing the third ghastly attack on our culture is this media. The media which is covered by all these things. How many of you have seen this? What is that? Somebody remembers, right? What is this? Radha Krishna. So beautiful, no? And This Radha and Krishna, they have this romantic love story of Radha Krishna they show. But was that such way? This is the actual representation of our culture. When Krishna did this, the story of the Leela of Ras Leela, how old he was? Anybody knows? Huh? 5 years? 12. 12 years was the one he left Mathura and went to Mathura. Huh? 8 to 7 years old. 7 years old he was, and that time he did Ras Leela. And you imagine the small children, we have a Bhakta Prahlad school, they're doing and dancing. How cute it will look. Do you have any trace of sexual attraction into those things? No. It's so innocent and looking so beautiful. That's how Krishna's Leela used to be looking like. And now they are presenting it as a grown-up boy and a grown-up girl doing the romantic pastime, and this is Radha Krishna Leela for us. You know, so we think that these are the ideals of our life. The Krishna is the ideal of this life, and he's doing all these things here. This is a representation of our Krishna here. Radharani is like this. You know? So the lady who is enacting like a Radharani, she says, I don't believe in our Indian culture, Indian scriptures. She reads Bible every day. She is that lady. You know? And we are thinking that, yo, this is the girl. And what kind of emotions we are getting from seeing these serials. Many people come to us and tell, Prabhuji, I saw these things in the Radha Krishna Leela. Please explain to this, all these things. So these are the reference of our culture. These are the reference of our education. People used to come to me, Prabhuji, I have read this and this in Bhagavatam. Please explain to this to me. Now people are coming and asking, Prabhuji, Radha Krishna Leela mein ye dikh raha hai. Please explain to me this. This is not a reference that we should take it up. By seeing these Leelas, what kind of emotions we get, and what kind of emotion we should get by reading the scriptures. Radha and Krishna are our Aradhyas. We should get an idea of devotion from them. As soon as we see Srimati Radharani, we should feel the motherly feeling in her. Now we get what feeling we get? A romantic feeling? How somebody can feel romantic by looking at his mother? This is a destruction of our culture, and this is a wrong representation of us. This is wrong ideas we are getting imparting in our life. So our culture is happening like this. We are putting this as a reference. You know? So this is how we are. And the stories, of course, what they are showing into that, are they authentic stories? Most of the stories are concocted. They don't have any basis of any scriptures there. And stories like, Radharani teaching Rukmini ji how to make a kheer. And what we are learning from that. And of course, when we read this, hear these stories, and listen this, see these stories, what kind of moral we are getting? See, Radha Krishna Leelas, they are there to understand. When we understand that perfectly, that Krishna is the God, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, when we see these Leelas and pastimes, we started thinking, okay, I am also like a Krishna, and I also be like, going among the gopis. These kind of ideas we will get. When somebody reads Srimad Bhagavatam, he will get the idea. It is said that somebody reads Bhagavatam and comes to the understanding of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he reads the pastime of Radha Krishna, lusty ideas of him from his heart will go off. This is the result of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And by seeing these pastimes, lusty ideas are growing nicely. So what we are seeing here, the news article from this wire, this one, what is preach about our culture? They say the Durga Puja is the most controversial racial festival. They present our culture as a, in a kind of a ghastly way. They talk a bit like a Mahishasur as a Dalit, and the Durga ji as the white Aryan lady who is dominating on the Dalit, black, dark people, and all these things. So this is not the culture the meaning that we have to drive it from. This is the wrong representation or maligning our Indian values, actually. And this is how our culture is getting destroyed everywhere. We have to understand what is the right source of it. We have seen this, right, movie? A lot of times, we are the only one who have made this blockbuster.
अच्छा नहीं भगवान का बैटरिया खत्म हो गई है का तो टिकट करे तुम दूर भागो
I know this.
क्या मतलब नया बैटरी लगा दो किधर लगता है करो अरे भैया इतना बैटरी नहीं पड़ती तो काम नहीं कर मैंने पूछे बेबस अरे तो जितनी किसी बनाते भाई हम ये भगवान को आप बनाए बिना अपने हाथों से आप भगवान को बनाया कि भगवान आप भगवान ने हम सबको बनाया है हमने तो सिर्फ इनकी मूर्तियां बनाई है क्या बनाओ तो उनकी मूर्त ताकि उनकी पूजा कर सके अपने सुख की बातें कर सके कभी भीतर क्लास में निकलेगा भगवान का बात पूछा कैसे अरे भगवान को किसी ट्रांसमीटर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती वो डायरेक्टली सुन लेता है डायरेक्टली सुना है तो फिर मूर्त की क्या जरूरत है अरे क्या करूँ इसका यार धंधा करवाएगा क्या
See, they think that the spirituality is just for the business. They put that the person who is enacting as this curious person, he's asking his logical question, and the person who is answering is a businessman. And this is what they present. Our culture as a business. That's all. This is not a business. Our culture is not a business. And the person who is not able to answer it. You know? So we have to have the right questions and the right answers. And we have to find these questions, find the answers from the right source also. If we start asking these questions to anybody in the Tom, Dick and Harry industries, are we going to get the answers? Are we going? If we ask these questions from somebody who is hating our culture, are we going to get the right answers? Our faith is going to get destroyed. Better we should ask this question at right place. And yes, definitely there can be a systematic satisfaction of our logics. See, I also was into a scientific background, and we used to ask so many teda questions when these ISKCON people came to our college. In my college, we was engineering college, engineering, and we used to read lots of science fiction stories and scientific-minded people. And these ISKCON people came to our college and they gave a very fantastic class. And we said, okay, they're talking about the spirituality. Let us do a trick on them. We started asking questions. And we used to ask so many questions like a straight, forward, left, right, center, and sometimes we used to try to trick them also. But these devotees from ISKCON, they were so profound in their knowledge and then their explanations, they were logical. They satisfied all our doubts peacefully, patiently. And now initially we were asking questions like, in a tricking way. Now we are started asking questions in inquisitive ways. And that's how they gave us a nice knowledge. And of course, this is the way they won our hearts. In whole, I will tell you, there was a class of 60 students, and they gave us such a nice presentation. After these presentations, all of the 60 students, they gave up eating non-veg after finishing these presentations. So this is such a kind of profound. Of course, after some time, some students continued eating, but yes, this is the effect of it. They touched our hearts. They touched our intelligence that time. And this is how we should ask our questions. This is another explanation of another wrong representation of our culture.
मैंने सोचा अंदर जरूर कोई दूध पीने वाला होगा कि सरकार गधे थोड़ी है जैसा लोटा पकड़ के लाइन में खड़े मेरा नंबर है मैं अंदर गया अंदर कोई नहीं था दूध पीने वाला कोई बीच में वो काला पत्थर पड़ा हुआ उसे शिवलिंग कहते हैं दूध का दूध.
See, in this way, these people, they destroy our understanding. They talk about, offering milk on the shivling is, waste of the milk and everything and all these things. But they don't understand what is the value that gives us, what kind of a benefit that gives us. They don't talk about it. They simply see the wastage of the milk and all these things. Of course, and this is not the way also. If you see in our ISKCON temples, we do so many sacrifices, so many abhishekams we do. Every drop of charnamrutam is consumed. Nothing goes waste. And anybody has tasted charnamrut? Amazing. If somebody drinks charnamrut, he will forget Coca-Cola and all these things, drinks. Such a kind of a tasty. And it is not wasted, definitely. So they don't understand these things, and just another thing that giving the milk to the poor is better than putting the milk on on this Shivlinga and all these things. Better, why are making such big movies of 300 crores? Instead of going for the movies, putting this money in the movies, better give it to the 300 crore poor people. They will be get benefited, right? And so if you are earning money and benefit, taking profit from this 300 crores, and you are giving this the logic of this, don't waste money on this Shivlinga and all these things. Better we should not watch your movies then. Better we use this money, which is 1,000 rupees tickets into the multiplex and all these things. Let us give this money to a poor guy. So this is better use of the money also. There are so many people that are doing so many nonsense activities. Instead of asking questions on that, they are asking the questions which is more scientific. So this is how they murdered and they killed our faith in Vedic literature, Vedic culture and Vedic scriptures. So we best thing is, even in all this we still have some faith in Bhagavad Gita. That's why we are sitting here. We are coming to Bhagavad Gita classes regularly. Our culture, our faith in our culture is from the root of the hearts. It is there. And yes, we understand, we know that this Bhagavad Gita, this teachings of Bhagavad Gita, this is definitely going to help us in our life. So this is our humble effort, our humble effort and our humble try to revive this Indian culture back and putting it back into the original positions. Okay? Hare Krishna. We will stop here. If you have any comments on this today's presentation and questions, you can ask. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's go towards mantra meditation. It's the easiest way to realize this. Of course, we talk about mantra meditation. How many of you are coming for the first time today? This is the first day of yours? Okay, great. Okay, so what we are doing is here is a mantra meditation. The meditation, we have a different techniques of meditation, like the mindfulness and focus with the meditation with the lamp and all these things. So all these meditation methods are there, but the meditation method that we are talking about today is the mantra meditation, the focusing on the sound vibration that we are producing on ourselves. And this meditation method is boosted with the power of the mantra. Manastrayate iti mantra. Mantra is for the mind. Meditation is for mind. And with this mantra, it will be easy. Thank you. It will be easy and it will be helpful to meditate our mind. Okay? So mantra is very simple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is mentioned in the Shastras, scriptures, that among all our senses, our mind is most connected to our sense of hearing. Our sense of hearing is mostly connected to our mind, and when as well as somebody is sleeping, we have to